Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, I know you are normally the Star Wars person on this show, but I think we do need to welcome in our special guest host on today's show, Tony. Welcome in Admiral Akbar, Tony.
Look at Tom dropping memes and whatnot. Yes, we are talking about the biggest trap games on Ohio State's 2026 schedule that has been released. We have talked about it on both Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning and the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. Now we are talking about what everybody's looking for, the trap games. Trap games will ruin your season. You're allowed to lose certain games. If you lose the trap game, boy, that might just knock you out of the 14 playoff. We've seen that before. It can still knock you out of the 12-team playoff because we saw it this past year for some teams. So win the trap games. If you have to lose other games, do that. But boy, oh boy, win your trap games. And Tom, so we are here to talk about looking at Ohio State's schedule, the biggest trap games on here. And, sometimes it's a matter of where the game ends up on the schedule. Sometimes it's a matter of where the game ends up on the geographical map. The first one for me is a map game, and I'm going to point out Iowa, and just the fact that we've seen it happen before. We know it's not going to be easy. There's nothing easy about playing at Iowa. It's a rock fight, and you've got to bring your own rocks, and you've got to be able to take a punch, and you've just got to be able to stay awake. Sometimes it's just boy, you know what? I'm just going to take a little bit of a rest. You can't let them lure you to sleep. The lullabies, the pink locker rooms, all of that. You've got to stay on guard. This is a trap game, but it's in the middle of, you're home against Illinois, then you're at Iowa, then you're at Maryland. And it's this is a game that I can get up for because there's nothing else going on, but it's still a trap. I don't care. The sign says trap, right? You see the stick holding the box up. You know exactly what this is. You still have to go into it though. It's a game.
Yeah, it is they're basically the Iowa Hawkeyes. No, the Iowa floor pies. That is what they are. It's just delicious floor pie. And then boop, you're hanging upside down. This is one where looking at the schedule it's not really a trap game to me because it's one that you're looking at and you're going, well, that's always a difficult place to play. And you're not going to there's not Oregon coming in the next week or Michigan the next week where you get a look ahead spot or it's a real letdown spot. They play Illinois to open Big Ten play on September 26th. And then they go to Iowa October 3rd. It's not first road game of the season because they're going to have played at Texas. So they're already going to have played in a really hostile environment against a very good opponent. But this is still just anytime you're playing at Iowa, this is a trap game in the way that anytime you're playing at Iowa, this is going to be very difficult and very unpleasant. And, we have to cross this swamp. I know there's stuff in there. I know there's lots of bad stuff in there waiting for me, but we have to cross this swamp. And I know this is not going to be pleasant. That's playing at Iowa. It's not, and the monster jumped out of nowhere. I had no idea this was coming. It's no, I know there's lots of unpleasant stuff out there, but we still have to get across this swamp. So here we go. Get on your hip waders and let's go play Iowa.
The corn swamp.
Man, we're a little late for corn sweat season, but it will still potentially, October 3rd in Iowa could be 85 degrees and humid. It could be 40 degrees and windy. You really, really don't know that time of year. But yeah, I think at Iowa is a good one, even if it's not really truly a classic trap game. The one that is a classic trap game to me is November 21st at Nebraska. It's a road game. You've kind of gotten through, we ranked all the road games on a show earlier this week. And in Nebraska, of the 5 road games, we said at Nebraska, this is not going to be an easy game. This is not as long as the plane lands at the correct airport, you're going to win the game. It's not one of those games. But it's the easiest or maybe least challenging on the surface of the 5 road games that Ohio State has. But then you've gone through the other 4 road games, and it's like, oh, okay, well, Nebraska, we'll be fine. It'll be fine. Hey, look who we're playing next week? Hey, you know who's on? Yeah, it's that team. We don't say their name. All right. Well, the team you played the week before the Michigan game, especially when you go on the road, it just feels like a lot of times that's just not, Ohio State is just kind of get in, get out, get in, get enough points, get out, be on your way. And Nebraska is a good enough team that you can't necessarily just sort of do that. And the fact that there's a look ahead, the fact that you've got probably, that's the time of year when you've got, hey, these 3 starters are all kind of banged up, and, you're going to sit them against Northwestern because you don't need to beat Northwestern at home. But, are they going to come back at Nebraska? Well, we're going to have, we're going to be doing, I guarantee you, we're going to be doing a show on Thursday that week about, well, what's the health status of player A, player B, and player C? Are they going to play or not? And our board's going to be blowing up. And are these guys going to play? Do we know? Are they going to be 100%? Are they better off resting them? That's the point of the schedule you're at, where you've had your week off, and then you went to at USC, then you played Oregon. Those are 2 really brutal games in a row, brutal, very physical games, plus a cross-country flight. Then you get into the Northwestern at Nebraska, Michigan sequence. And the Northwestern game is just going to be whatever. It's going to be, that's a just get through it kind of game. At Nebraska that's going to be the one where I think you're thinking about all sorts of stuff other than how do you beat Nebraska. You're thinking about the health of your guys. You're looking at Michigan. You're looking at college football playoff rankings, all that kind of stuff. And that's when that to me is like the classic kind of trap game.
This will be the 5th time since 2014 that Ohio State will have a road game before Michigan at home. Okay? Tom, do you want me to read those scores off to you?
Well, I'm just kind of going back in my head through some of them, and it feels like there have been a bunch of, we talked about 2018 Maryland. That was what, 52-51 in overtime or double overtime or something. The 2022, was it? 2022 Maryland was at Maryland. And that one was kind of close and gross and unpleasant. 2016, they beat Maryland, right? So was that one of the 62-3 games right before the Michigan game in 16? Yeah.
Well, that they did win 62-3, but the following week they were in East Lansing, and that was a 17-16 game in 2016.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in 2012 was the fourth time, most recent. At Wisconsin, 21-14.
Yeah.
So now, are all of those teams going to be as good as, or were they better than Nebraska? I don't know that we were talking about a murderer's row of games of opponents. Certainly not when we're mentioning Maryland. So, only one of those games that we talked about was won by more than one score. And it didn't feel like that 2022 Maryland game was always all of that comfortable. So, yeah, absolutely. Trap game, 100%. Nobody has any idea what Nebraska is going to be at that point, but the fact that it's there, it's on the road, it's the week before, everybody is trying to, this is what you've been building up for. The one thing that I think of this schedule is that these trap games are visible, like they're very stereotypical. When we look at them. So I think that helps. Whereas going back, although I'd say the same thing about Purdue in 2018, when we were talking about that, I think we were both like, watch out for that crazy thing. In 2017, Iowa, you got to be aware. But I think the signs are easy to see for the Buckeyes. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is you've got 8 losable games on this year's schedule. So, and at Indiana is not a trap game because everyone's going, hey, they won the national championship. And Oregon at home is not a trap game because everyone's going, hey, they could win the national championship. And at Texas you can kind of eliminate a bunch of these games as trap game because it's just like These are just regular difficult games. These are not, this is not the schedule where you play 2 top 10 teams and then everyone else is, somehow everyone else in the schedule is going 3-9. Like, this is not one of those years. This is a year where you have 8 teams that could potentially be ranked in the college football playoff rankings at the end of the season. And I would guess that probably 6 of them are going to be, and, maybe more than that. It just sort of depends on if there are a bunch of 9-3 teams in the Big Ten, or if everyone beats each other up and they all end up 8-4 or something like that. But this is a year where there's just enough challenging games that there are only so many that can actually be trap games. Ball State's not going to be a trap game. Kent State's not going to be a trap game. But man, the ones, frankly, the Northwestern game coming off of Oregon, we'll see what Northwestern looks like this year. But Northwestern has been, you can go back through the years and think about Northwestern home games that Ohio State has kind of sleepwalked through and ended up a little closer than expected. What was it, 2020? Was it 2018, 2022? All these years blend together, Tony. There was a Northwestern game that I watched, and I thought, well, the best part of that game is I will never have to think about it again, because it was really close and terrible and low scoring, and 20-17 or 20-14 or something like that, or 24-21 maybe. That's the one that's like the actual trap game that's really like coming out of nowhere. The other 2 are road games against teams that are pretty good, good enough that they should be challenging. Northwestern, if someone is going to just come out of nowhere, I think it's Northwestern this year. Unless it's Maryland.
We haven't even mentioned, and we really haven't even talked about Illinois, which is one of their 8 toughest games, but it's the week before Iowa. And, but again, that's the Big Ten opener. So you would figure Ohio State will be locked in on that one as well. It's like, okay, the season begins now, and it begins with Illinois. No need to overlook that. Every week will be its own test. But yeah, I think we are in relative agreement on the trap games. That yes, they're all trap games, except for the ones that are tough. And the ones that you, as you said, the 5 toughest are not traps. Anything else could be, but I think we've got it located pretty well on what to expect. And again, we all have our blueprints for what these are, and I think we're all in agreement. So there you go. That will do it on the trap games, the biggest trap games for the Ohio State Buckeyes. If you're watching, please hit the thumbs up. We'd appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so. Hit the bell to be notified. If you've not yet subscribed to Buckeye Weekly Podcast, go ahead and do that. Subscribe to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning. Do that as well. Would appreciate that. And of course, you can continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com, where we are on the message board there, presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus, talking about these games and many more to come. So thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.